Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to episode 155. And I'm going to ask Lisa TSP, triple, quadruple check. This is 155? Is this possible? Well, everybody here now tuning in, you see that I'm not by myself. I'm actually with our featured guest. This is Scott Chapman. He's an author and a tattoo artist, also somebody who is one of the great educators of our time. And I just thank you for what you do, Chapman, for really the writing aspect. Of course, education is so important, but the writing aspect, the tattooing, the art, the culture that you bring to the community. And I'm curious, to figure out, how you became you, because Chapman, for everybody who's tuning in right now, I'll just give a little insight to what we do here at the Subjective Perspective Show on Be Awoke Entertainment. Since 2013, we've been lucky enough to air some of the most interesting and iconic people on the planet. And everybody could check us out right there on all the big podcast platforms. But at our website, Be Awoke, that's with an A. And you can check out a couple past episodes as I get into how we came up with the name for our network many years back now. And really get an understanding into the multitude of perspectives that constitute this thing we call life. Today, ladies and gentlemen, I'm honored and proud to feature Scott Chapman for episode 155. And I'm going to do my quadruple thumbs up. Chapman, it's unbelievable to think that we've been on since 2013. We got into a wonderful conversation at the tattoo shop a couple weeks back. And just stuff. Good people. Yeah, you're good people. Yeah. And I told you I wanted to have you on, and I'm serious when I say something. So I want to get into a fascinating insight into who you are, not just the tattoo artist, but the author. I'm very curious about your writing. You have amazing writing, and I was looking at it, and as we just recently were able to, get information over to each other. I have a couple books in the mail coming my way shortly that will be here. Hopefully this week we'll have all of that all set up. So, nice. Well, and we're going to be pushing these books also. Well, so Chapman, what I do, brother, is I like to give somewhat of a thought sandwich, I call it, so you sort of like the bread. Bread could be a bit more simplified. And then we get into a bit more of the full content, the abstract stuff. And then we bring it back down to some simple questions. I just want to show everybody the work of my man, Mike Archuleta, out at Golden Rose Tattoo. And we got some more work to get done. Though also big shout out to my good friend Nikki out in Long Island, New York, Nick Arena out there. You see this, Nick? I'm giving you a big shout out, brother, because you are the man. You already know it. And Chapman, like you all, the work that you do over at Golden Rose, big shout out. If any one of you in the Modesto area, stop by the Golden Rose on H Street and have them take care of your tattoo dreams, because every one of these artists there are top of the top. And that's my man, Mikey Archuleta. And also, I'm going to have him on the show down in a couple months. So we'll get into Mike in a bit. Chapman, my man. So the first question I'm going to ask you, and this is what I ask every guest. So this is what I start out all of my interviews with. Where were you born and raised?
I was actually born and raised in Modesto, California. Believe it or not, I'm still here. I got away for about 10 years in Southern California, but then here I am. I'm back.
Lucky to have you back, my
back
man.
In black.
Hey, listen, you wear that black shirt, nice too, man. Listen, where in Southern California did you end up?
I worked down in Bakersfield, lived in Bakersfield. I have a lot of family there in the oil fields. Worked a lot of Los Angeles, Barstow, Needles, all along the coastline, Ojai, Santa Maria. So, and that's kind of some of the stuff that's in my books too, is because I worked around those areas. And so, Modesto's in a lot of my books as well. Got to bring the local stuff in.
And there's a lot to talk about with Modesto. A lot of incredible, goes all different perspectives and incredible history, and just so much involved with Modesto. Back in Black, was that AC/DC, that album?
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. I was thinking to myself, I know the album. Yeah. I know the album.
And Johnny Cash. I don't know if I had my my Harley Black Betty over there at the shop when you came in.
I didn't see the Harley, man.
I might have drove my truck. So on the sides got Johnny Cash from Folsom Prison, flipping you off. That's on the derby cover of my bike. So
hey, you know what? Got to give a shout out to my man Big John Leather out in Pacoima, California. It's this beautifully personalized, and it's going to be hard because it's actually on the guitar. But gosh, sorry. It's this personalized strap I got, and I'm so sorry I'm not doing justice to it. Actually, you know what? Let me pull this thing over. Here, I'm going to do this so everybody could see, because the craftsmanship is absolutely insane. Okay, there's a nice little Martin I got for the holidays. Now, thank you all for dealing with me getting tangled up in my guitar, but that typically happens.
Oh,
so
nice.
Got Nick TSP right there, everybody.
Very nice.
All the real deal stuff right here. Beautiful pieces. That's Big John's Leather. Definitely check them on out. Let me see if I can get this back on the stand. Boom. Okay, that part's good.
I don't want to knock that one over.
I know. Let me actually, everything's falling down now. Everybody, give me one moment. This is the first time you can see me getting sort of out of the chair a bit. I'm going to put the mic down for a hot second. Thank you, everybody. Sorry about that, chat. Let me get this cool piece. My mom made this, so that's where I keep it right there.
Very nice.
Thank you, my man.
Yeah, my grandmother used to make those for all the kids.
Oh, yeah? Yeah. That's my mom's making it for the whole family. Nice. So everybody has one right now. Right. And let me quickly pop this back over just so it's decently somewhere. Okay, that bit there. Well, now I think we're back to normal, everybody. Thank you for your patience. Hey, sometimes you gotta get out of the seat. You know what? Let me once more get this on up. Thank you, everybody. See, we have a big budget here at the studio, which is why we never have many malfunctions here. Right. That's great. That's the beauty of it. That's like the beauty. It's real. It's
a $3 green screen.
Yeah, totally, man. Yeah. Your green screen's looking good, brother.
You like that? Yeah, it's $1.50 per tablecloth.
Yeah, I mean? That's
right.
Exactly. Yeah, I had one of the apps I utilized. There was some green shades we found in the Kmart or the Walmart, one of them, and in the Santa Cruz Mountains, I remember, and we were able to utilize the app with the backdrop, and it's insane how technology has changed. So listen, let's go back into Modesto. So, world, remember, that's the good stuff. That's the stuff we want to see sometimes. The realness, the authentic aspect of life. So yeah, if something sort of like goes a little astray during a recording, sometimes that really is the fun stuff that we look back on and say, Oh, I see the nuances of that character and of the character of that individual. And sometimes we don't see it to 20 years later, 30 years later. I'm watching videos of, you mentioned Johnny Cash. I'm watching Hank Williams Jr., Ernest Tubb, just all Merle Haggard, just watching these videos and how my perspective has changed in my life. Modesto, Chapman, what was like Modesto like when you were growing up, and what was like the decades of your time period?
Oh, 60s, 70s. I'll be 60 here in a few days.
You do
Yeah.
not look it, brother. You
60.
look incredible.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
So Modesto,
Keep doing
was,
what you're doing. You look great.
Good. My grandmother passed at 103, so I got some long jeans.
Yeah, that's the good genes right there. God bless.
Right?
God bless her.
So 60s, 70s, 80s. So Modesto was a really small town when I grew up here. I don't know, maybe 70, 80,000 people when I grew up. Kind of everybody knew everybody else type of thing, especially the areas that I lived in. So Southside Modesto and whatnot. So it was fairly small. You'd get phone calls, somebody would be driving down the road and see you walking along doing something, and they'd be calling your house, say, hey, saw your kid over so-and-so, and you're like, oh crap, I can't get away with it. But
when the street lights went on, you better get back into that house.
Well, yeah. I mean, I live with my grandparents a lot, or stayed with them a lot. So I camped out. They would let me camp down at the river, and go fishing. Oh, and I would be down there 2 or 3 days,
Was this the Sacramento?
Tom Sawyer.
Yeah. You thought you were Tom Sawyer.
I'd be
Sac River? Is that the Sacramento River?
No, it's Tuolumne River.
Tuolumne River. Thank you.
Yeah. Tuolumne River. And so, I don't know, just roamed around, just pretty much doing whatever. It's really like a Tom Sawyer story, just getting to go down, go fishing and whatnot. So I had a pretty good lifestyle as a kid. I thought, we got away with a lot, but yeah, we had a lot of fun smoking cigars, drinking, typical stuff,
Yeah.
Not really interesting. I don't know. To us, it was every day, but I don't know. Some people think, oh, that's crazy. 12, 13, 14, you're down there smoking cigars and drinking at the river. Yeah. We thought it was great.
And this was, happening across America. This is the story that you would hear of a lot of kids growing on up in the 60s, 70s, 80s into the 90s in my generation, seeing it all play out as well. And it's interesting because Modesto is, it's a pretty big hub now, just outside of San Francisco. And it was one of those places a lot of people started to migrate to after the last several years with people leaving the cities, especially San Francisco. Right. How has that impacted Modesto? Has the population boomed?
Oh, yeah. It's Stanislaus County area is 549,000 now. The wow. Modesto area is 380, 350. It's pretty big. Ceres, Modesto, Salida, Riverbank, they're all kind of all glued together now. They used to be really separated. Now then they just kind of wash into one another.
So interesting, because Chapman, growing up in Long Island, New York, where I grew up in, that's how all the towns were. If everybody could see these cool shirts we got, the subjective perspective shirts.
Oh, nice. I got to get one of those.
Yo, yeah, we'll get you one. All right, we're gonna get these all set up. You'll have yours within the next couple of weeks. Okay, I'm gonna get a couple of shirts all set up. That's just gonna be. I'll stop into the shop. Okay, because I got to stop in too in a couple of weeks to get some work done. So if I don't see you, I'll leave it with Mike. Be like, listen, leave us with Chapman, whatever.
We'll get you some of my books signed. you know.
Yes. And we'll talk about the books in a second. But, back to Long Island and how the towns bleed into one another. That's what it's like out there. Long Island is America's most densely populated island. You have Brooklyn there, Queens there, the Hamptons on the eastern end. I grew up right between the Hamptons and Manhattan. So I'm from a labor worker's home and carpet installer and flooring. That's what I grew up doing with my father. And so I understand what you're saying. And I hear from my parents how things were much more separated. There were more pine trees in Long Island, and that from the 60s and 70s. And it was just less populated. Over 20 years, from the 60s, 30 years to the 90s, it just exploded and provided a lot of jobs, which was great. And those jobs started to actually wane these last, couple decades. But that's what's happening out here. And what's so interesting, Chapman, I draw such a parallel to Long Island, New York, and the Central Valley. Actually, all of Central California, believe it or not, because you have the coast, the ocean.
Right.
Well, you also have that in Long Island. You have the Long Island Sound, and you have the ocean underneath that on the bottom, the South Shore. The movie Jaws was written by a fella from, I think, Santa Mauritius, actually, which is the South Shore of Long Island, but takes place in, I want to say it's called Amity Island or so. And there's a town called Amityville in Long Island.
Right.
Might be more of the Long Island Sound area. But
that's a great book.
I've never read the book.
Really?
How's the book?
Oh, it's fantastic. That was one of the first books that I read that I actually was scared when I read it. I was like, oh my God. It was so much better than the movie.
Well, okay, I'm reading this now.
Much better than the movie, but Amityville Horror was fantastic.
Yeah.
But then
I didn't read that. I just saw the movie.
Oh, wow. Yeah,
I went to the house on Ocean. Oh, yes.
Oh,
Me and the kids I grew up with, that was like a big thing to do. Go to the Amity house, go to the Amityville house. Because I grew up maybe like 20 minutes from there. And like I said, all the towns bleed into one another. So it's sort of like everything feels like 15 minutes away. It's like it might be like an hour away, maybe, but it feels like, we're almost there. And, we're still in the same town, but it's a couple different towns at that point.
It's like kind of like some of our friends that are from the East Coast. They talk about going down to Florida, and it's actually the same distance from like Central Valley down to San Diego.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, holy crap. We drive that all the time. Because we've had people come out and they're like, come visit us. Like, dude, you're down in Los Angeles. That's 5 hours.
Yeah. And Chapman, to get from Florida to New York, quite honestly, I've driven it many times, about between 18 to 22 hours.
Okay.
And that's to get to
that's a pretty big drive.
Now
that's
listen,
going from Washington to
exactly.
California.
If you're going to Washington, D.C., or let's say, because South Carolina, North Carolina, and Virginia are very long states, like north to south on I-95. Okay. So those will take you 10 hours, maybe-ish. Oh, wow. Yeah, probably like 4 hours or so for Virginia, a couple hours for North and South Carolina. Georgia's long. And then so you can get to DC from New York about 4 hours. So then, you add another maybe like 15 hours or so, maybe 10 to somewhere 12 to 15 for the longer states, and you'll be at the top of Florida. And then it's probably about 4 hours north and south of Florida, give or take, maybe more close to 5 hours from like Miami to Tallahassee or something like that. I've been all over
really
Florida.
Short.
Yeah, totally. Really totally. Florida itself, beautiful state. It has, if you enjoy the humid climate, you'll absolutely fall in love with it because it has that. If you're not one for humidity for me, it's hard because quite honestly, Chapman, you could take a shower in Florida or anywhere in the East Coast on a humid day and step out for maybe 1 minute and you're sweating again. The beads are starting to bead up. And so
I love Florida though.
Yeah. you love Florida, you say?
Oh God, yeah.
Talk to me about Florida. What is it that you love about Florida?
We go almost every year for. It's been quite about what 10 years, I guess. We've been going every year. My son-in-law is a professional paintball player, and so they have the World Cup.
Very cool.
Orlando.
Shout out to son-in-law.
We go out. Yeah, Thomas Taylor.
Hey Tom, shout out.
We go out to Orlando, Kissimmee area every year for the last 10 years. And then we just kind of travel around, you know what I mean? While we're there in Florida, we have some friends that are in Tampa.
Yep.
And it's nice. I don't think we've ever gotten down to South Beach yet.
You'll get there to the Keys. You'll get down to the Keys. Yeah, a little Jimmy Buffett.
Eventually.
Yeah.
But see a lot of gators, and we went on some airboats and whatnot.
Oh, that's fun.
See Disney World,
Yeah. Disney World's great.
Disney World, Florida, better than I like Los Angeles.
Epcot, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, for the high school, I'm usually a chaperone that goes on the Disney trip every year because I know how to deal with Disney security. So I've been down to the Los Angeles Disneyland. I don't know how many times, a lot. And it's just the Disney World still has a lot of the old rides that I remember as a kid in the 60s and 70s. They still have it in Florida.
The teacups?
Yeah, they have that. They still have
Space Mountain.
The People Mover. They still have a lot of the old stuff.
Yes, that's right.
California got rid of it, you know what I mean? And so they still have the Carousel of Progress at Disney World, and that hasn't been in Disneyland in LA since the 70s.
That was one of the coolest things. When I did that in the 80s, when my parents took me and my brothers and my sister there. I don't even know if my sister was born at that point. Big shout out to little Ethan. It was his birthday of my little nephew. Our little nephew. Gosh, getting older now, those kids. But the carousel of what was the carousel of the future? The carousel of progress.
Carousel of progress.
That's when you go up and around. Or is that
the whole building turns?
Yeah, the whole building turns. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, and there's all of these futuristic things that now, looking 2022, it's like beyond what they were showing. It's just mind blowing.
You look at it and you're like, oh wow, that was, they had some strange ideas. Robotic kitchen, and their idea was totally different from what we have now.
Yeah. Florida has so all of our people listening from Florida tuning on in, big shout out to you all there. We have a lot of family down there, actually, Chapman, because Florida is sort of like New York South, and New York is like Florida North, because a lot of people go back and forth, and for good reason. A lot
of people retire over there.
Oh yes, gets cold up in the Northeast, so they call them the snowbirds, and they get on down. They get on down to Boca or Cocoa Beach, which is where Kelly Slater, the great surfer, is from. And like you said, it's a beautiful place to bring a family, especially when you're doing like Disney World, because it's different than Disneyland. Disneyland's cool, but once you walk out of the perimeter of Disneyland, you're in like the city of Anaheim, I believe that is.
In Los Angeles, Anaheim now.
Yeah, and when you walk out of Disney World, you have the monorails, and
you still have the monorail stuff. Yeah, that stuff's still cool. I mean, they have it in Disneyland, but it's a lot harder to get to now. It's not like it used to be where you would hop on it and take you to the other side of the park. Yeah, now it takes you to the Disneyland hotel. Okay. But a lot of changes.
And it's bring it back full circle to Modesto then. Hey, that's the interesting thing about life. And I always think about it. And it's the reason I got this tattoo, actually. Mike did an amazing job. And I know my arm, I can't twist and turn it too well, but it's a book, and it has the boat that my great-great-grandfather came in on through Ellis Island. It's just, thinking about how when they left, there in southern Italy, when people were coming over here for opportunity in the early 1900s, they didn't have the opportunity to, FaceTime family, call family, which we're so lucky to do now, which is why, we feel so connected, to people. Our family is all over the country. My brother just moved to Tennessee. They just sold their home in New York, moved to Tennessee. He's a barber and all that fun stuff. But everybody's interconnected. We're like, oh, we could take a flight there, take whatever, take a train. Well, flight, not more so than a train at this point. Flight would be a little quicker. But that's fascinating, to think about what the future may hold. I don't know. What do you think? The Central Valley population is definitely getting bigger.
They had talked about putting an amusement park over in Lathrop. They never did do it. They had that Wolf Lodge now, so I guess they did.
Yeah, the Wolf Lodge looks really cool up there on 120. That it is.
Yeah,
120. I think it's super cool.
It's pretty cool. Troy from the tattoo shop, he took his kids over there, so it's a really cool place. But I mean, the Bay is just a couple hours away. I mean, that's how everybody in Modesto thinks. So I can go snow skiing a couple hours. I can go, to the beach and go surfing in a couple hours. I can go up to the mountains. Just Yosemite, all kinds of different places that you can go. So it's really interesting. This kind of like a centralized spot. So it's pretty cool.
And the weather is incredible right now. Oh my goodness gracious. You have that huge nor'easter. Big shout out to our families and friends, sending you all this sunshine and all of our love out there to the east. I know it's getting cold out there. Talk to my family, like waking up to -6 in Pennsylvania. It's like, whoa. But the summers we get a little warmer, but you got that AC, you get a little cool little pool. They have all these little blue pools now. They sort of just like go up by themselves. You put the little water spout in there.
It's got a little air up ring on the like
$100. Got yourself a pool for the summer, and you jump in that thing. We got one on 106-degree day, Chapman. I jump in the pool, jump out. Just a little wind hits me. I'm like, ooh, it feels like perfect. It's like 70 degrees. It feels, it's just wonderful. So listen, with that, you're getting into tattooing at what stage in your life? When do you start tattooing?
I started doing my uncle was a heroin addict, and he went to prison. And while he was in prison, kind of picked up on tattooing. When he got out, I had a train set, and he tore my train set apart and took the electric motor out, and then used a little rheostat controller and made a tattoo machine. Well, I was a kid, and I'm like crying, you tore up my train set. And he was like, shh, I'll show you how to tattoo. And I was like 12. And so then I started tattooing all the kids in the neighborhood, Because why not?
This is
Probably
great.
Passing up to everybody.
That's great. Hey, listen, what? When was it? 70s?
Yeah, let me see. It would have been 72. I was 10, so about 74.
Now, 74 tattoos are. This is like sort of early on.
Oh, I guess. Well, tattoos been around a long time.
They've been around a long time.
Yeah, a long time.
I think about like
a kid, just tearing people up. It was terrible. It was terrible. Just tearing people up.
Chapman, in America, of course, I think about tattoos and I think about the cultural acceptance. And I think about, early on in like maybe the 50s and 60s, I think of like Hunter S. Thompson. And I think about, I think it was Hell's Angels, one of his books. And,
Sonny Barger.
Yes. I think of the Oakland chapter, Sonny was. I've seen a couple interviews just online. It's it seems like it was accepted by like maybe the 70s, but it seems like it was still outlaw in so many ways.
Well, in New York, it was outlawed for sure.
Yeah, it was definitely outlawed in so many ways.
All the way up into the 2000s, it was still outlawed. I think it was outlawed until like maybe 2003, 2004, somewhere in there. Spider Webb out there in New York, he was still getting arrested for that stuff. I mean, that was definitely underground, even in the early 2000s.
Who was Spider Webb?
Spider Webb is an artist that was back east. that was, at the front of that trend over there during the 2000s. But trust me, there is a literal ton, a treasure trove of artists all across the country. It's just his name pops up because of the issue of him getting in trouble, but yeah, so we got into tattooing a little bit later on after that. But
so 74 is when your uncle is sort of,
my uncle was in prison for about 10, 15 years.
Wow.
So, yeah.
And he comes out, teaches you the art of tattooing a bit. You're in the neighborhood, just chopping it up.
Yeah.
But now you're a great artist. I've seen your work. I've seen what you were doing.
Thank you.
And when does it become like this art form for you?
Probably early 2000. I'd gotten back into it, and I was in it during the 80s, and then I had a really bad industrial accident. I worked in the oil fields in Southern California. And so I kind of had to start all over again. And when I started all over again, I had gotten my college degree and was teaching at that time. And so you know how it is teaching, you need a little extra money. So you got to have a side hustle.
That's right.
And so that's making some extra money.
Yeah.
And there you go. That's how it got rolling.
Wow.
Yeah.
I've always because obviously tattoos are permanent, and there's a reason. Now listen, what's so interesting is this is all like a conglomerate of like this was done in Sayville, New York, at a place called Lotus Tattoo, actually where my incredible wife Lisa TSP got one of her pieces too on her back with cousin Georgie out there. But my buddy Nick I grew up with him, and he was just an amazing artist. So he did all of these waves. Now I just want to show you everybody.
Right.
Okay, so
Yeah,
check it out. Right now, look what Mike did. I mean, just absolutely perfect. Absolutely perfect. Like it matches everything. And Mike's also going to reline the inside, and we're gonna get that colored on in. But listen, I'm so lucky. The reason I say that, the top part was done like the initial little lettering, the kanji was done in like 96, maybe. The waves maybe like 2007. Okay, and like a bit of the piece on the inside 2007.
Right.
So we're in 2022, 2020, end of 2021, and I get lucky. One thing led to another. I find Mikey, and he does all this. It's just like meant to be. So my question to you is this: how did you? Because I can't wrap my head around putting a needle in somebody that's going to be forever and having ink out. And if I mess up, I'm like, yo, I just totally like, whoa, like, but like, as like, cause you're so good. Like, how do you do it? And how did you feel? Did you ever get nervous like doing this?
Oh yeah. Yeah. When you're first starting, you hold your breath a lot. You know what I mean? I always said that it was kind of like my Xanax, because it's very Zen-like, because you have to be really focused. And if you're really focused, to make sure that you're not making mistakes, it's really easy for time to just literally fly by, and the next thing you know, you kind of wake up out of your focus. You're like, oh, wow, that's been a couple hours. So, and that's one of the benefits of it that I really like is I get like frustrated at in the educational area, you know what I mean? Sometimes you get frustrated with the kids, you have a really crappy day. You can go tattoo and all of that just falls away, which is really nice. Because you get to create and, you just forget about all the other stuff.
It's a catharsis.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
It's that release. It's that art. And that's creation. And for everybody listening in,
it's healing.
Watching this, it's healing.
Yeah.
You see, that's what it's about in so many ways, for people to find some kind of solace, some kind of peace within. It's about finding what's in you.
The talking, the conversations, all of that goes together. All of it. And I think
Yes.
that's what gets people caught up in it as much as they do, because they go in there and it's kind of like having your bartender that you talk to, or having the guy cutting your hair that you talk to. But a tattoo artist is a little bit more time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you're spending more time with each other. And so,
And Chapman, what was so great when we were in the shop, I had Mikey do my
you're getting
tattoo,
all
and you're like,
excited.
yeah, you're like, yo, it's pretty wild trying to hit a moving target with that, right? You know?
Oh, wait. I got to tell you this.
Yeah, me and Chapman, everybody
Yeah.
were just talking it up because Mike and myself were in there, and just getting in the zone, and just sort of, you got that. We for you all know who. Before you get tattooed out there, no, you got a little burn going on, so
Yeah.
and a little scratching going on. But Mike does a great job. I told him I barely felt it. He's one of the good ones, just like Chapman.
Yeah.
Feel good with them. But I Chapman came in. We just started rapping. We just started talking, and that's it. We didn't stop. I was like, I need you on the show, man. I was like, I got to get you on the show.
Time. We had a lot of fun.
Yeah, that was real good.
Yeah,
it was real good, brother.
Fun.
And I told you I got to talk about your books too. So we're gonna get into the books in a moment here. But I just want to explore this tattoo aspect and sort of your knowledge or what you know about tattooing that you could teach me. Because for everybody listening in, this may be a new topic for people, and some individuals who may say, hey, that's pretty rad, it's pretty cool, this idea of tattooing, it's inspiring me to be a tattooer, or maybe to get a tattoo, or maybe to go to the Golden Rose in Modesto. Chapman, man, like, so really, like, I'm thinking in terms of you as like the artist, how what is it that inspires you in this field of tattooing, and if where tattooing sort of begins, like, because I know it's all over the world, and there's so many cultural aspects to tattooing, but maybe just in the States or beyond.
There's a huge history of it in in just California. A lot of the guys that I know personally that, Corey knows them as well, but just sitting down, there's a wealth of information, but it's got a lot of other parts of history of it that a lot of people don't know, from making your own equipment, because that's what you had to do. You had to make your own needles, make your own machines, make your own ink. So you were mixing all that stuff, and back in the day, it's almost like a tattoo artist was like an alchemist. They had to build their own machine, they had to build their own needles, just all of that stuff. So not only did you make the art, but you had to make the machines and the tools to make the art. People buy them, but back in the day, I mean, you had to be able to break that machine down, rebuild it, fix it. There wasn't a lot of the newer guys, they just could go buy a new machine. They buy their needles pre-made, they buy their ink pre-made. And I go and buy my stuff too, because I'm lazy, but it doesn't mean that the older guys like us can't make the machines. And that's what we used to try to teach our apprentices, how do you build a machine? How do you fix it? And all of that stuff. So there's a lot more to it. I know a lot of artists that we've brought in, try to teach them to be a tattoo artist. Maybe they're an airbrush artist, or maybe they're, they paint, and they're like, oh yeah, I should be able to tattoo because I look at this wonderful art I can do. And then they just can't apply it mechanically and make it turn out like they want, because it's a little bit backwards from, and it's permanent, it's a little bit backwards from what you're used to doing with art. So it's kind of a backwards process. So some people, even though they're good artists, they just can't apply the tattoo. And anymore nowadays, there's people that are just doing incredible, realistic stuff that's just insane, that you wouldn't have seen in the 90s, but they're doing stuff now that's just like crazy.
Yeah.
It looks like a color portrait, and you're just like, how in the heck did you manage that? There's some crazy stuff.
I see you all doing your work, and I'm like, wow. You know, like I said, that's why it was sort of like outlaw stuff back in like the 70s, like sort of like that green ink or like that darker greenish ink that I always
It was the old Indian ink. Yeah,
Indian
it was
ink.
black. It was black, but it would have a greenish tint to it.
Yeah, man. I
Or
remember.
you'd take and burn, Vaseline and stuff, and catch the soot on tinfoil and then mix it up. You know what I mean? Chess pieces or whatever. Burning stuff and catching the soot, and that carbon is what you'd make the black with. So
Wow.
yeah,
Wow.
there's a lot of crazy history in the way that a lot of that was done. And then the cool thing is like you had Otzi, the Iceman, the caveman that was found frozen, that was like, thousands of years ago, and he had tattoos all over him. And
talk to me about that. What was going on with that? What did they find about that?
It was a caveman that was found up in the mountains, and he had defrosted, or had started defrosting.
I heard about that part. I heard about that.
And so he had lots of tattoos all over him for different things, for like either health things, like to help with arthritis and stuff. They would tattoo like certain symbols on it, talismans and things to bring good luck. But yeah, it's interesting to look back on humanity and see how far back it actually goes. It's even mentioned in the Bible and stuff, being marked and stuff. So it's gone back a long, long ways.
What do you remember how old they say that Neanderthal was?
Not offhand, I don't.
Or whatever.
Thousands of years,
thousands upon thousands of years.
Yeah.
It's Graham Hancock. Not sure if you're familiar with Graham.
Yeah.
Graham's great. We had Graham on the show. He was one of our guests in like 2014.
That's pretty cool.
Oh, Graham's a great guy, and we got to get him back on. And it's on our YouTube page. Everybody can check it on now. Just click it right from beawoke.com, and boom, you'll see all of it. Earlier videos. And it was all audio at that point. We just got into the videos. Sort of 2015 we started, but it was more recently, once Zoom became so prominent. We were using Skype for a while, but then it was just such easy access with Zoom. So we started to use this for the show as well. So it's been pretty darn cool. But Graham, as you know, talks all about what's going on thousands of years back prior to what is being the narrative, the story that's told about 3,000 years prior, predating,
like maybe 15,
12 to 15. Yeah,
talking about the Sumerians and their stuff, and it's a deep rabbit hole.
It's fascinating.
I love that
stuff.
Love
it. And he did a book a couple years back, and I forget the name of it, my bad, with Mysteries of North America, essentially. Don't know if you got a chance to like read that or learn about that at all.
I've looked at some of that stuff. I haven't read the book per se, but
so it's pretty much
all the stuff that's in my playlist on my YouTube. I have thousands and thousands of electronic books that are on my YouTube playlist. So I'll find a lot of the books that I want to read, that I'll listen to them on audio, so that way I can just do something and listen to the book as I'm doing it. Sitchin, Graham, just a lot of those guys, Tellinger, just
I want to get into your writing here, because it's vengeance, I believe.
Murder and Mayhem.
Murder and Mayhem.
Yeah.
And I have a couple of your books up here, which I want to actually make a mention of. I think it's Children's Porpoise.
Suffer the Children.
Suffer the Children.
Yeah, Porpoise, the patron saint of karma.
Yes.
Yeah. That I wrote in just like a couple weeks. It's just,
Let's talk about both of those books. I want to talk about both.
Mine is the other one. I wrote that one back in 95. And that one was just kind of like my brain vomiting on paper, because that was like a 3-week deal as well. And I don't know. I published it on Microsoft Reader on CD, And then, so like all of my buddies had it, and I didn't really do anything with it. I just kind of set it off to the side. I had 3 or 4 other books that I'd written. I just set off to the side.
95? 95, you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay, so and that's the first book. That's the first
Yeah,
book.
Vengeance is Mine was written in 95. That's the real thick one. It's about 400 pages. And then the other one, Porphy's a Saint of Karma, Patron Saint of Karma, that Suffer the Children is the title, but the subtitle is Porphy's a Patron Saint of Karma. That one's about, I don't know, it's 100 pages or so. And it's just kind of like, I try to pull stuff that I know is like factual to try to give people like a cornerstone to start from. So Porphy starts off, his dad is involved in the Matamoros killings in the Chihuahuan Desert. And the only reason that whole group even got caught was they had murdered a kid from some customs agents.
And this is a true story.
Yeah, they had actually killed his kid. So
wow.
And that whole thing started. And so I just kind of use that as a jumping off point. So it's a place that people know about, they know it exists. And then I just use that, and then same thing with it goes from Mexico into the United States up to Santa Maria, which I worked in Santa Maria a lot. And that's where Santa Maria style tri-tip comes from.
Oh, wow.
And so I just kind of use Santa Maria. So I take, milestones from Santa Maria and sprinkle it in there, and then, I try to sprinkle in things from my areas that I know about that I can put in there that the people that have heard about it recognize it, especially the people that live there. They're like, oh yeah, I know about that. Or I've heard about that. And so that's how I end up writing.
What style, Chapman, do you enjoy reading? And sort of, what would you consider your style of writing?
Horror, suspense, I guess partly stream of consciousness. I have a wide range of material that I've read. Like I said, I have thousands of books that are on electronic books. I have a pretty ginormous library. My wife has been, after me, like, you need to get rid of some of those books. And I gave away probably like 3,000 to one of the local charter schools because I just had so many books that I had to just get rid of a lot. And I gave away.
That's cool. That's cool.
My paperbacks I gave away. I gave probably a couple hundred hardbacks away.
Wow.
Friends of mine. So now then it's mostly
and it's hard to part with books. I know
it is. So like I have my first edition hardback Stephen King's that I have, Clive Barker, John Saul, Dean Koontz. I have all of it. So everything that's in my library now is all first edition. Anne Rice, BC Andrews, just
wow, first editions here.
Yeah.
Okay. Now are you going to like are you going to what are they called? Hey, were there bids for these or?
Oh, no. My kids will get these. I have some Hemingways. I have.
Oh wow, yeah. What Hemingways?
For Whom the Bell Tolls.
Ooh.
The Sun Also Rises.
Oh, it's one of the greats.
So, and then just a lot of
Florida, Mr. Right, Hemingway.
Right. Oh, I know. Old Man in the Sea.
Yes. That's great.
And then even in my classroom, I have probably 300 books at least. So the kids around here that I teach alternative ed. And so they'll come in like, hey, do you have something I can read? Yeah, there's the kind of stuff that I read right over there. So I have stuff like Sun Tzu, Machiavelli, because a lot of these kids are like gang involved. And I'm like, well, required reading would be like Sun Tzu's Art of War, Machiavelli, The Prince. Those are mandatory reading. You go to jail, you're going to have mandatory reading. They're like, what? And I'm like, yeah, it's about leadership stuff. And then I like 7 habits of successful people.
Oh, Covey by Covey.
Yeah,
Yes, yes. And his son
how to
did the
win
7
friends and
habits of.
influence people, some
Yep,
Carnegie.
Carnegie. That's right.
I just go down the list and they're like, what is all this stuff? And then I get into like ancient history, and I have a lot of the biblical stuff as well, messianic, legacy, Jesse Wesson's Ritual to Romance, From the Golden Bough, Fraser, just all kinds of stuff. Wow. And they're like, oh my God, what is all this? And then, I'm breaking it down for them. Well, wait, to get all excited. Here, look at this, or look at this. You want to know how kings are made, and and all this other stuff. And they really get into it. So, but I keep that's the academic stuff I keep at the school.
Yeah.
My brain candy stuff I keep at the house.
Thank you for doing what you do, Chapman. Thank you for doing what you do as an educator and inspiring those minds, because you're changing lives, and you have done that for some time. I know, brother. And
27 years now.
27 years.
27 years.
Yeah. You know what? You deserve that accolade, my man.
Yeah.
You don't always.
It's a lot of fun.
It is a lot of fun.
It's a lot of fun. Yeah.
It's inspiring. And like I said, thank you for working to inspire those students. Because I know the work you do, my man. And that's why you inspire me as well. And I appreciate it.
It's a lot easier to teach a kid to do something if you can sit down and do it. Yeah. So when I ask them to write for me, they're like, wow, I don't even know how to do that. Well, here, like this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Let me whip something up for you. And they're like, what? I'm like, yeah. So we're going to do our vocabulary for the week. Just write me a rap with it. You like to rap? Write me a rap using your vocabulary. And what? Yes. Like this. You know what? You want to have a rap battle? Let's do it.
Right on. That's right.
And like I told them,
right. That's beautiful.
You have to be willing to fall flat of your face. Failure is your friend.
Oh, that's right.
That failure is your best friend. And if it's not, you need to make it your best friend.
100,000,000%. Yeah. I used to.
That's what makes the world go round.
I won't talk much about all this, but I mean, I used to teach in, you find me in Harlem, New York, and I'd be, teaching, and, I'm somebody who grew up rhyming also in New York, believe it or not. Yeah. So I would be rhyming in class, and students would be like, yo, that's amazing. And it just so happens I had an incredible individual I worked with who's one of the best educators I've ever worked with. His name's Chris Finn. I'm going to put his name out there for anybody who's interested in knowing about him. You can Google him, check him out. And if you ever get a chance, let him know that there's some person out there in the world who thinks very highly of him. Well, I'll tell you why. He saw what I was doing, and he talked to me and said some of the kindest things, really when I needed it the most. And he doesn't realize how much, he uplifted me and inspired me to keep on keeping on just with a couple words he said to me that were kind. But
that's a true leader.
Yeah. Yes.
That's a true leader.
Oh, he is a lead. I would follow him all day.
Yeah. Doesn't even have the title. Doesn't have the title, but is a real leader.
Oh, he 1,000,000%. And he was teaching, I think, science, but he was also, I believe, the dean of students at the time too. So he was really just. Everybody loved him. Everybody loved him. Faculty, the students. So my classroom was right across from his office. So he heard me rhyme, and he comes in. He's like, "Yo, Josie, what are you doing in here?" And ended up bringing him some CDs of people I knew and all that fun stuff. And
nice.
But you could see him rhyming with people like KRS-One. Okay.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, he left. He was emceeing this whole thing in Paris that year. He's in a movie based on the school that I worked at that Jeff Canada made called Waiting for Superman.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Now, well, Chapman, and for all y'all checking this out, I worked 07 in Harlem, New York. For Jeff Canada and Chris Finn. He's actually in that movie. So is now, I believe, the superintendent of schools, who I started with, Shiel Petit from Haiti, and he was just one of the best people I've ever worked with. These, and I think they would all remember me fondly, hopefully, because I really have such
That's
fond
super
memories.
cool.
And we were 2 blocks from the Apollo. I would walk
Nice.
during lunch, Chapman, and I would go into the foyer. Is that it? Like just the
Yeah.
opening of the Apollo, and I'd be like, "This is amazing." You know, I
Yeah.
worked with like people like Kevin Eubanks was the Tonight Show with Jay Leno. He was the musician. And then I worked with his cousin, an older gentleman who, oh gosh, I forget his name. Last name was Eubanks. But just great people. I believe he was a jazz musician as well. So, yeah,
Nice.
Chapman, that's it for the world. You know, I
Yeah.
believe education, I believe truly that's everything. That is the key to success. That is the key to personal growth. That is the key to fulfillment, whether it's somebody seeking spiritual fulfillment or their own personal enlightenment. I believe that in any realm of education, it could be you educating yourself, not you, Chapman, but you, the world that's tuning in, watching this right now. It could be you educating yourself with multiple sources that you're looking through, and you know, or just the cool writers that you're finding, such as Scott Chapman. And let's go back to your book. So listen, we're starting out right now, and I'm going to just use Vengeance and Portis just to sort of differentiate the two. The first one we're talking about, though, is Vengeance.
Okay.
Is that the 95? That's the 95.
Yeah, that's the 95 one.
So it's 400 pages or so.
Yeah. Yeah.
What obviously not to give away anything within this story, but what is there a premise that you'd be or an aspect of the book that you'd like to, you know, make a point of for the audience?
The reason it's Vengeance is Mine is because if you partake in that, then you end up fouling your own soul, so to speak. You mean, so if you partake into that violence, then it alters you. And once it alters you, then, you know, you're up to the will of the universe at that point. And if you're doing the same thing that they're doing to you, then you've opened yourself up to that evil and it can swallow you up. And that's what happens with the main character. You know, he's done wrong. His wife and child is murdered. So he's going to exact revenge. But the problem is now then, wow, that killing was not bad. I'm going to go out and kill some more bad guys. And then that turns into something completely different. And so he just ends up being a serial killer at the end. Being what he was trying to destroy is what he ends up becoming. Wow. And, you know, we hear that all the time. That's like an age-old story.
That's a great concept.
You know,
that's a great concept. Very timely also.
Yeah.
That's very, that's a, you know, that's a great
evil
premise.
Evil.
Yeah, I believe that.
Yeah,
I believe that.
Evil.
I believe we're like magnets.
I think that's kind of like even with Porphy's, you know, he starts off.
Porphy's. I said Portis.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. Porphy's. Yeah,
no.
I apologize.
It means
my bad.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Like, I'm sorry. Porphy's. You know, it's but yeah, it's kind of the same premise, you know. I mean, he's exposed to this trauma, this evil, and then as he grows up, instead of, you know, shunning that, he ends up gravitating right back to it. And maybe that's what's happened to us as human beings, because we keep going right back to our own vomit. You know what I mean? Right back to evil, right back to evil, right back to evil. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't meet violence with violence. I'm not saying that. I mean, you don't want to be soft. You don't want to be weak, because predators will prey upon you. But even you know, you had the Greeks, and then you had your warrior class, and you had your political class. And the reason they were separated is one had to be violent and mean and horrific. Sparta, you know, they had to be violent and mean. They weren't the people that were being nice and polite and political. And there's a reason for that, because you get polluted when you're out dealing death. So, you know what I mean? And so then you have to have a group that has that good political side to kind of keep you in line, but you have to have those warriors. You have to have those people that can meet the predators and hold them off. That doesn't mean that you're going to, you get exposed to
great points. And
yeah,
really well said how you have it. I didn't mean to jump in there. I apologize.
No, that's all right. Yeah.
My bad. But I like how
Yeah.
I like that analogy with ancient Greece. And looking at Sparta, looking at the warrior class, and how there were it's not everybody that were warriors throughout ancient Greece, but there was that segment of the population, the city state, obviously, and they had their own cultural beliefs, their ways of living out their narrative that they saw within their paradigm, what they saw to be what is right, ethical, moral, whatever they believe, whatever a society believes. It's and it can counter their neighboring city states. And it's so interesting also, Chapman, when you think about writing just in general, we talked about the catharsis. You're talking about 1995. Porpoise, when is this out? When does this come out?
I just wrote that one probably this last October.
So you have are you writing other pieces in between, or is this books basically maybe a 30-year time span or 25-year time span?
Well, there were several in between. Like I'm in the middle of one right now that I'm probably about 50 pages in on that one. But it's just, I don't know, stuff that pops up in my head and it's just like, hey, let's put this person in this spot, put this person. So a lot of it is from personal experience, like things that I've seen, things that I've done, and then you just put a little twist on it. And so the one I'm on right now takes place up by West Point, and it's got some Charles Eaton and Leonard Lake in it and some other stuff. And I threw a little bit of everything, some skinwalkers, and some Pleiadians in there just for fun.
Oh, wow.
So it's just, it kind of like, whatever's rattling around up in my head. I'm just like, okay, so like, it's fun because a lot of times my students are like, hey, tell me a story about something. So it's a lot of the storytelling that I've done over the years. Like my kids always want, hey, tell me a story. We're not doing anything else. I'm like, all right. So, tell them a story. So it's kind of like, the kind of stuff that they like, and you end up telling a story that you think about, oh, well, what would people like? And there you go. The next thing you know, da-da.
Yeah. Hey, Chapman, man, like I didn't mean to jump so much from like ancient Greece to the catharsis thing I was about to make a point of, but there's a reason for it. So everybody knows I'm not jumping too far for no reason.
No, it is catharsis. You got to get rid of those childhood traumas.
Yeah.
I all the violence that you've seen in your life, you got to get rid of it.
Yeah, man.
Pass it on to somebody else,
brother.
Let them be traumatized. I don't want to be the only one. Let somebody else get in on the action.
It's so true that is essentially what happens.
Mm-hmm.
That is essentially what happens. It's so funny when you say that. Like I never really thought about it like that, man. That's very interesting.
You see somebody get murdered on the street, you got to go tell your buddies, or somebody else. Oh yeah, and you're telling them all about it. You're sharing that trauma, that catharsis. You're sharing that trauma with others, and you pass that energy on to somebody else. But yeah.
So this is interesting then. So did you see this? Did you see anything like that? I think I would assume that you have some stories. It seems because you're writing some great stuff.
A couple really horrific things.
Okay, and I will not pry.
I'm an open book. I don't even care.
Cool.
Traumatized people don't care. They don't. They share freely. They're like, oh yeah, so
And I tell you, Chapman, man, it's because I have such a respect for you, and I know that the writing process is something that is personal. It's something that is yours, and you have your own unique way of writing. There's only one Scott Chapman in this world. There's nobody else like you.
Oh,
and you're putting it out there, brother. And I want you to realize that, quite honestly, you know, I believe that those that work hard and those that believe and those that are doing the right things when no one's looking, I believe that there's this thing called luck that keeps on popping on up, man.
Yeah,
Those
karma.
opportunities that, such as your
Yeah.
book. Can you give me the whole title of the book again, brother? So I have to go
And
into my phone.
Suffer the children. Porphy's, the patron saint of karma.
Suffer the children, Porphy's, the patron saint of karma.
Yeah.
That what? Okay, now why the title, brother?
Well, in families, many times we get our nicknames through traumatic events. You know what I mean? Like you do something in your family, and it could be really embarrassing. And then your parents or your family and friends will give you a nickname that's tied to that event. So this poor kid, his dad is cutting his mom up with a chainsaw and he's yelling at him, you know, yell, please, please. And the kid, you know, it's Spanish and he's yelling, Porfis, Papa, Porfis, you know. And so the people, as his mom's being killed in front of him. And so his friends and family, because he was yelling Porfis, you know, please, please, they called him Porfis. That was his nickname. And that's messed up. You know what I mean? Because now it's bringing that trauma back to him every time somebody calls him the name, you know? And so he ends up growing up. His name is really Jesus, but his nickname Porfis. And so he kind of has a psychotic break. And so because of that, he's schizophrenic. And his alter ego, you know, Jesus is a trained priest, but he's in education and everything. And then you have this alter ego, Porfis, that's really an evil person. And so, and it just kind of goes from there, but you know.
Oh, this is fascinating. So the patron saint of karma,
well, the reason he's called the patron
saint
of karma is because he has a way of making sure that people get karma paid back to them, whether it's making sure that somebody meets evil, whether he kills them himself or that they get turned into the police magically, like he's a undercover snitch. But he always makes sure that somebody meets their karma, you know, and so he kind of gets known kind of like, you know, like a hometown saint, you know, kind of like Jesus Malverde is a narco saint, you know, he's kind of like a Robin Hood. So this guy is kind of like a Robin Hood, but for karma. And so
what
all
region?
The local people calling that. It starts off in Matamoros, Mexico.
You mentioned that before. I apologize.
Yeah, and the Chihuahuan Desert, and then he moves across the border and is being raised by his grandmother, and then they move him from there to Santa Maria in California because he's trying to get away from everybody that calls him Porfis. He's trying to get away from that so he can start over fresh. You know what I mean, and heal and everything. And he becomes a elementary school teacher. And he works as kind of like a part-time priest at one of the Catholic churches. And, you know, he's putting in his chops, you know what I mean, trying to get a full-time priest position. And so, but he works as an elementary teacher. And so it's just cool because he's wanting a new beginning. And then one of the secretaries that comes in, little Spanish gal, and she's like, oh my God, it's Porfis, it's Porfis. You helped my family when those people did us wrong, and you made sure that they got, you know, their payback, and thank you. And he's like, shh, don't tell nobody. And so it just kind of, you know, his karma finds it, he can't get away from it. And so
this is great. Listen, everybody listening in and watching this. First off, this is episode 155 of the Subjective Perspective Show here at Be Awoke Entertainment. And I know we're a little past the hour mark here, Chapman, but I'll bring us close soon. Thank you for your time with this. And we'll be doing this again down the road if you like. Totally love to have you back on, brother. So we'll make that happen. But I have the links to the books up on our Instagram and our Facebook page. Nice. So we have it up there, everybody. Please purchase these books, okay? And, you know, if you're interested in, you know, maybe getting an autographed copy, who knows? Send me a message. I'll get in touch with Chapman, or we'll get Chapman's information at the end of our interview convo, and you'll be able to contact him directly. Please.
Yeah, or we'll sign him over at the tattoo shop.
Yeah, heck yes. Heck yes.
Yeah,
and if you go, I guarantee you, and I promise you all, if you go and you say what's up to Chapman over at Golden Rose, or just get in touch with him, I'm sending you a couple stickers. Okay? I'm sending you a couple stickers. And I'll throw in like a button or something like that also for free. Okay? So you make that connection with Chapman, you're going to get a little goodie bag from the Subjective Perspective show here. Okay, everybody, and the Subjective Perspective music duo, as we are too. Now, Chapman, my man. Now, I want to go to the other book for a hot second before we go into the last couple questions. I called it Vengeance. The entire title, if you could, please, once more. I'm sorry about me not having it in front of me, but
Vengeance is Mine.
Thank you.
And that's just about a local doctor that him and his wife are doctors, and they kind of have a practice together, and they're off getting fireworks. He leaves them in the van, and he's kind of a soft guy. His dad's a Navy SEAL that's kind of really hard on him, and his wife and kid end up a guy carjacks the van with them in it and takes them up to Modesto Reservoir and ends up killing the baby and the wife. And
sounds like a story that I've heard of Modesto.
Who knows?
Interesting.
So while he's in the bathroom cleaning up, a couple of teenage kids steal the van with, the blood and stuff all over it. And when they do that, they end up getting arrested for the murder. And so the guy that did it kind of gets off, but Steven, the main character, knows who the guy is. And so he ends up kidnapping the guy's family, ends up torturing all of them to death. And you know what I mean? Because he's going to pay him back. And so through that process, he ends up taking that road. And now then he's taking on the lives of some innocents. And so then he's like, well, I'm going to redeem myself and go out and kill some bad guys that have hurt other people. Woo! But then again, he's going down that road pretty soon. The next thing you know, he's just killing people because he's killing people.
I was thinking of the Scott Peterson case.
Oh.
That's what I was thinking of, because I know that there was something crazy that happened with the wife and the boat and the kid. That's why your story is absolutely insane, man. Yeah. All right. The madness. I love it. That's what I'm talking about. That's a story I want to read, brother. You know, something that just makes me actually psychologically be in suspense.
Yeah. And you can see his progression down this road. You know what I mean? This madness and how it just spins further and further out of his control. And he doesn't even notice it. You know what I mean? And so, yeah.
Man, listen, what I want to do is next time we have you on, we'll talk more about, we'll explore more of our backgrounds, perhaps.
Yeah.
Maybe get into.
Maybe I'll have my other book done by then.
Oh, heck yeah. Well, listen, when it does come out, let me know, and let's just have you on, whether we air it a week before, a week after, or want to do a launch with it here with us. Would love to have you back on for the launch, but we're going to have you on regardless, my man. So listen, Chapman, brother, if I could, I have 3 questions that I ask all of our guests. Actually, there's 2 questions I ask all of our guests from the very first episode up until just our last 154. And one question I've been doing for the last maybe 6-7 episodes. So I'm going to give them to you. And remember what I said about, and you can see the lighting actually going, so we're bringing the natural light in. So actually, as our interview is going here in the West Coast, we're in the Yosemite area, right down that 99. We are taking that natural light. Gorgeous day out there, about 64 degrees, whatever it may have been. So it's pretty cool. You get to watch the light sort of dim throughout our interview convo. And just, this was a joy, an absolute joy with you. So Chapman, my man, first question that I ask everybody, is the only person who has not answered this, you're gonna laugh. Graham Hancock. Okay.
Uh-oh.
Only one person. Well, you know what? The second question is the question he hadn't answered. So the first question I believe he did answer. So this one coming to you. The second question he did not answer because we were losing connection when he was calling in from I think Northern England back in 2013-14. Wonderful interview, by the way, everybody. So please take a peek at the Graham Hancock interview. Super, super cool. Right after you listen to the Scott Chapman interview, okay? Because the Chapman interview is one that is a must listen. Share it with everybody because you're listening to a writer that when you read his literature, you'll be moved, you'll be in suspense, you'll be thrilled, and you're going to get a feeling after you read the work of Chapman. Brother, favorite book and author, or maybe top 2 or 3, and or favorite movie and director?
Oh, man.
So whatever direction you want to go, if you want to go movie director or author books we talked about a lot of authors already.
So I really like The Stand by Stephen King, uncut version, and Insomnia. Those are 2 really good ones from him. But that's my brain candy stuff.
Great books.
So I would,
heck yeah.
For Whom the Bell Tolls, Hemingway, that would have to be up there. There's just a lot, but those are the 2 that pop in my head. Favorite movie, damn, Super Troopers.
Super Troopers, great movie, man. Right on.
Yeah, that one
Love
pops in there. My son and I watched that movie.
Love it. I'll laugh all day with Super Troopers.
Every day for like a whole summer.
Yeah, me too. Me too. For a whole summer for like 10 years. Yeah, still doing it.
It's not funny.
Big shout out. Big shout out to the entire family also. Yeah. Thank you for allowing us to borrow your pops and your husband, and thank you very much, everybody. You have a Chapman, I can tell you have a wonderful family, and just by the way that you speak about him, and
4 kids, 19 grandkids.
No.
Yeah.
19 grandkids.
19.
You are just a blessing to every one of those grandchildren.
Yeah.
And your children. Yeah. And your wife and your family.
Absolutely.
Wow.
We're going on what, 30 years? She's over there.
Congratulations. We are 4 years going on 12 years together. 12 years together.
Yeah. Nice.
And I am
that's how it starts.
So gosh, I am
one
so
day
proud.
At a time. That's how it starts.
Yeah. Yes, I'm so proud of you guys because it's just it's a beautiful thing to see people growing together and learning from each other and growing with each other and learning about themselves and I just love to see I love to see happy people. So it's just really nice. It's really nice.
We had a tattoo shop together for many, many years.
Wow.
Yeah. She used to manage it and I would do the tattoo part.
Wow. Now, does your wife do the tattooing?
No.
Okay. Oh, cool. Yeah. So she was the business.
Trash. She'd sit on the other side of the shop and talk trash.
That's great. Right on.
Yeah.
Get him. Go get him. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, God bless y'all. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
So listen. Let me get you all back to the family here in a hot second. Chapman, brother, 2 more questions.
All right.
Great. Super Troopers. Yeah, I'm with it. Yeah, totally. Sorry. I was like, did I do the movie one? Yes.
Yeah.
I gotta watch that now. I'm gonna watch that this weekend. Now, this is the one that Graham hasn't answered. Everybody else has answered this one. So if you look through our guests, we have a bunch of interesting people.
Right, Graham, you got to answer it.
Graham, we got to get you back on.
You got to call in and answer because I want to find out what it is. All right, so we're
gonna reach out now. Okay, maybe we'll make a little clip with this.
So Graham, you're gonna have to talk to Michael Tellinger too, and then ask him the same thing. So he's got to answer.
Yes. Tellinger, all of you brilliant minds, please come on the Subjective Perspective Show. We'd be honored to have you all. Question is, my brother, what is... Now, remember what I said early on, the thought sandwich is simple questions at the end, more abstract fun in the beginning. So this is simple stuff. But I think it elicits a lot of insight about what we can see in an individual, or I should say, it gives us like a connection to an individual. Like, oh, hey, I see that in myself a little bit. And there's all this subconscious stuff at work. Who knows? Question is, what is your favorite color or colors,
Oh, that's easy.
and why?
That's easy. Black.
Right on.
Black is my favorite color.
Right on, brother.
All the colors together. It's just black.
Oh,
Love
beautiful.
black.
Oh,
You know?
that's great.
Yeah.
So it's all the colors together, really. Because and I was thinking, you're a tattoo artist, so I didn't know what direction you'd go.
Yeah, I love black. That's my
Oh,
favorite.
that's sick.
Yeah.
And the Indian ink initially was black.
Yeah. And look at the contrast. Right.
Likewise.
I love black and gray. Yeah. Black is my favorite color.
Oh,
yeah. That's
I like how you say that.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. Hands down, without a thought.
That's super cool.
That is my favorite.
Oh,
Yeah.
It's and if you
Black
listen
like
back,
my heart.
That's great. If you listen back to every episode other than Graham's, and you can listen back to Graham's and see what happens, you'll hear everybody's responses. So everybody has a different reasoning. I like your reasoning. It's everything coming together. The contrast. Yeah, likewise. Yeah. Now, with that said, final question. I've only done this with about 6 or 7 guests, but really cool. I believe I did this with our friend, our good bud, Dave Amram. David Amram, Beat Generation. He's the original jazz musician with Jack Kerouac.
Nice. Oh yeah.
He wrote he wrote the score for Pull My Daisy, which was what Jack Kerouac did like a silent film. Corso was in it. Ginsberg was in it.
Nice.
And you can see it on YouTube for free, called Pull My Daisy. Also, Dave, everybody calls him David. It's my force of habit. He knows me. If you watch the episode, it's really cool how I met him by accident. I won't get into it, but everybody check out that episode. It's just fantastic. Just like this episode is absolutely brilliant. So I think I started it with maybe David Amram right around there. And I asked this, I think it's interesting. It's a one-liner. I'm going to say a word, and first thing that comes to mind, just pop it on now. Okay?
All right.
We'll make it, and this won't be too crazy. But this is interesting, to see.
Don't be too sure. Crazy goes pretty deep.
I try to keep it nice and on the straight and narrow path here.
Right.
But I know it could deviate.
Sister Mary Mother. All right.
Where's Nick going with this? What's Nick gonna say?
All right.
Chapman, my man. First question. No, not first question. First word. I apologize.
Okay.
And this is lightning round, word lightning round.
All right, for $1,000.
For $800 here.
All right.
I'll give you $2,000 here, actually. Yeah. So, first word, palm tree.
Palm tree. The Pleiades, 29 palms. That Native Americans referred back to that as the planetary system they were from.
Brilliant.
Sorry.
Thank you. Oh no! Please do not be sorry. I was taking that. I was taking that info. Like, yes, I want more of that. That was what. But thank you.
I know that's really odd. It's just that was something I just read recently.
Not odd whatsoever.
This was really odd. I was like, wow, that's 29 palms. And that's a really big tattoo area too, because of all the military bases. But
very cool.
So
see, this is what this does. This is just weird. And I got 3 more words.
Okay.
So I won't go.
Right, the crazy goes deep. So
we go deep.
All right.
We can go deep here. I'm with you here.
Okay.
Next word, brother. California.
Sunshine.
Next word. Writing.
Brain vomit.
I like it. I like it. Sort of bringing us full circle. And we started out talking about that.
Yeah.
That was cool. That was cool.
Yeah.
Final word, and thank you for playing along with this word lightning association game that I like to do. I think it's fun and interesting to see what sort of
See the
pops in
crazy.
your mind.
Yeah.
Thank you, brother. Final word. Now this is gonna be the crazy word here.
All right.
Get ready. Hold on to your seat. Final word. Family.
Everything.
God bless you, brother.
That's my nucleus.
Right on.
Yeah.
Right on. Right on. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, this is Scott Chapman, episode 155 of the Subjective Perspective Show here at Be Awoke Entertainment, the Be Awoke Entertainment Network at beawoke.com. That's BEAWOKE.com. And I always like to say, we created our network years before the term woke went mainstream. So when it did go mainstream, having a whole lot of different perspectives and interpretations, I want you to realize we created Be Awoke to enlighten consciousness, to awaken consciousness, to inspire people, to give people knowledge about themselves, about the world around them, and different perspectives. So that's what we're all about. So, then you have another term that's out there, which is very similar to ours. So we created ours, I think, before October 2017, before it went mainstream, when it went big. And so we want everybody to realize that, we are, just us, have no affiliation with that term. We're all about awakening thought process. And Scott Chapman, you did that today. Listen,
Thanks.
Where can everybody find you, brother? Social media networks, and any last words for this audience around the planet?
DCLT2, I think, is our Instagram, and it's also our Facebook, I believe. So I have a lot of links to my books, family stuff on there. That's about it.
Any last second words for the audience, brother?
Oh, no, just be true to yourself, and
and read Chapman's books.
Oh yeah. Read
Get both of those, please.
I don't know what to do with my hands.
We're giving you the books is what we're doing, everybody. We're saying take these books off our hands.
Yeah.
Read these books, everybody. You will be inspired.
And you can get them on Amazon.com. If you have unlimited, I think I had it to where the electronic books you can get on unlimited. So which that would mean that they're free for a limited time. And so if you have Amazon unlimited, you could get them for free for a while. I think it's like 30 days or so.
And we're going to get you one of these shirts, brother, soon. One of these cool Subjective Perspective shirts. We're going to make an order soon for these. And every one of you that are, interested in getting one of these, send us an email to the Subjective Perspective at gmail.com. Very simple. I keep it with the Subjective Perspective. I think the email we're communicating is more of the business side that I use when I do my interviews. The Subjective Perspective at Gmail. I like to also give that to our audience. So you all can just simply type that on in and stay linked to us. Send us some nice ideas if you'd like to see, something in the future on our show as well. Why I want to make this point, and I want to make this point adamantly. Chapman, this is episode 155, and I've had so many people on this show that we've been lucky to have on. You are an incredible individual. I want you to know that. I want you to really be proud of yourself for the work that you've done to inspire people for 27 years. All the incredible ink that you put on people that I've got to see personally you doing. And quite honestly, you're an individual who I believe is also working on podcasting. Are you doing podcast work also?
Oh yeah, we did that for the 2 years that everybody was closed down. That's how we did our class for the last 2 years, was through podcasting. And so I'd bring in speakers
Because you're good.
for my students, and so
You're good.
we would do that. Oh well, thanks.
Yeah. I say
We try hard.
Get another podcast going. Why not?
Yeah,
Do
yeah. We'll
something
have to
on
do that.
books and tattoos. Just go.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Ladies and gentlemen, episode 155. This is Scott Chapman. Chapman, it's been an honor, brother.
Thank you, Nick. I appreciate it.
What I'm going to do is
shop.
Typically I would go into a commercial break, but for everybody watching us here right now live, I'm going to sign off. And Chapman, you could stick on me for a hot second, and then I will sign off with you as well. Every one of you, please go into your week and your weekend a bit more thoughtful with the